I'm so excited to dive into yet another epic Rebel Radio conversation with my dear friend, Libby Lee, all the way from Australia. Welcome, Libby Lee, to the show.
Thank you so much, beautiful Cindy. I love you so much. We've been on quite a journey together.
We have.
And it's been a while since we've had one of these conversations.
I know. It's about time we did it again, right? I love it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you and I connected a long time ago, long before I was doing numerology, but then numerology came along, and that's really where the connection came from. And we've had a numerology journey together, and you're now taking advanced numerology, which I'm so excited about. But I'm curious, what's been one of like the biggest things that numerology has shown you?
Oh my gosh. I remember receiving that first divine blueprint from you. And I was in another state, and I was down there doing some training, and I was in a intensive coaching program. And, I look back now, and I was still seeking. I was still seeking so many answers and the understanding of me and who I am and what I'm here to do and how I'm here to show up and all of that. And I really had that early morning conversation with you, and I was just like, hang on a minute. Like, are you a fly on the wall in my mind? And then you and I dove deeper and deeper into the conversations, and I watched you go through advanced numerology, and you start playing with playing cards, and I'm like, what on earth are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Like, you play poker with them. You don't play, they don't mean anything. Yes, they do. But I remember as a child, I remember as a child kind of wondering what I was thinking about the structures of them even back then. But we forget that, right, until we dive in. But I remember seeing you grow, and we had a conversation one time, and you were doing some weekly forecasting for me. And I was just like, I feel like I've got this beautiful bird's eye view, eagle eye view of my life. And it's not controlling my life. It didn't affect my decisions as in controlling my decisions, but it gave me an awareness, and awareness is everything. Cindy, did you know that?
She's been listening.
And I was just like, I can see how the pieces are all coming together, and how they interact, and how that impact comes together as well. So that was really beautiful. That was one of the times where I was like, there's a lot in this. Yeah.
So many rabbit holes to go down. I know when I first picked up a deck of cards, I just the depth that's available to us is just mind-boggling. And, you got to have specific questions that you want to ask, because otherwise down the rabbit hole you go and you're not coming back for days.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So how would you describe who you are?
How would I describe who I am? I am a soul who is here discovering every day who she is, and what I'm here to experience, and how I want to experience that. And, sometimes when you have that awareness of like, okay, I think I want to experience something different or deeper, then it can turn your life into turmoil. It can show you areas of your life where you're like, oh my gosh, that doesn't fit anymore. And that has happened a lot for me on this journey ever since personal development kind of came in, and has deepened even more with this work. But careers and relationships and your circle of friends and all of that shifts so much as we just get to know ourselves even deeper, and coming to that point where you can speak your truth. And it's not even speaking your truth, it's like knowing what is your truth, even so that you can speak it. Because I think being the 11 too, I was influenced by every side, and I can see both sides of the coin and all of that. So for me it was very confusing, And I felt like I would rarely have a stance on anything because I didn't really, all of it is truth. And I still do believe that there is truth in everything.
Yeah.
But really just having that self-awareness, and it actually, the clincher for me was, it was all coming down to trusting my thoughts, my intuition, the nudges. That is when I was able to start to kind of shift everything and peel back the layers. You know, it really is that onion journey, and peel back the layers to what is true for me. I know that all of this is going on, and I think this is really relevant right now with everything going on in the world. There is so much going on out there, and there's so many opinions and so many facts and so many stats, and you know, there is truth in all of it on both sides. And I think all we can do is come back and ask, what's my truth? What's true for me right now? And it might change, and that's okay too. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. You get to decide what's true for you always.
Absolutely.
So who are you most motivated to serve?
I love and I am serving the healers and the intuitive coaches of this world. And what I love seeing happen is their evolution and their impact just grow so organically, without force and without tricks and smoke and mirrors and manipulation or persuasion or any of that, but just seeing them truly and organically grow their impact to help more people in the world. It absolutely lights me up. And sometimes we actually had a thing recently where, you know, a client had her first 5-figure month, and we had to stop. And because I'm usually in her back office, not her. And I was like, do you know what's just happened? Like, have you ever had a 5-figure month before? And she's like, oh my God, no, I haven't. Because that is a big part of the altruistic part of being a healer, is there's often some money blocks, and there's a money journey to go on. And stopping and just celebrating and acknowledging that, because that is a reflection of the people she is serving and who she is impacting, and it's growing. And it was so beautiful.
Oh, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Yes. So good.
Yeah.
So good. So what do you desire most in life, and why?
I desire flow. And the flow to me is the freedom and the wealth, and, you know, the wealth in life, not just in the bank account, but the flow and the freedom to choose how I want to experience every moment, not only in my thoughts, but also with my to-do list. And am I setting an alarm? And, you know, I've had a chance recently to come back into flow where I haven't had too many commitments and too many things on my plate. And every day I could just follow the nudge. And I was diving into some of the numerology study that you're talking about. And I was just like, I think tarot is going to help me learn the symbology of the two systems together. I would never normally study two things at the same time. So I jumped online, went and bought toddled out, grabbed a deck of tarot cards, came back, dived into that. It was definitely not what I had planned to do that day. But it was like, no, this is what I want to do right now.
Yeah.
So, and every day it was just feeling so good, where I just had the freedom, and I'm like, this is how I want to live every day. You know,
that's how we all could live every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
So unity consciousness. This is something that we have discovered in Mind Shift together.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you and I partnered with Joy Kingsborough coming into Mind Shift the very first time.
Quite a beautiful journey
together. Yes. But what does unity consciousness mean to you after your Mind Shift journey?
Unity consciousness is all of it.
Yeah.
It is all of it, where, similar to what I was saying before, where there is truth in everything, in all of the experiences. And unity consciousness is free of judgment and comparison and measuring, and it's free of those lower vibrations. Unity consciousness is that higher vibration, that utopia that people dream of, you know, the heaven on earth. That's how I see unity consciousness, where we can find love in even the darkest places.
Yeah. I love that so much. And I think that's really timely. I rarely date these episodes, but we're coming into a full moon at the beginning of January 2022. And that full moon, I just did a weekly forecast, and it's all about understanding that beauty and brutality belong in the same place. That we can't push aside the brutality in favor of the beauty because that just feels better. We need to come to an understanding that it all belongs. It's just where we focus our attention.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, it has its place, and it's there for a reason. Like everything is here in our life for a reason. There is an experience to have with that energy, or a person, or a job, or whatever it might be. And you know, there are no mistakes, there are no coincidences. So it is there either to show us something, give us an opportunity to grow, give us an opportunity to expand, to impact, to contribute. There is so many reasons for that. So the whole, like, the Beauty and the Beast story is, you know, there is nothing out of place. And I think in unity consciousness is we don't make that wrong. And we don't ignore. Yes, we can just shift our awareness, but if we put our head in the sand and ignore that the beast is there, then we're denying ourselves that opportunity to grow, or to expand into something, and to find the love there.
Because there's love everywhere.
Doesn't feel like it sometimes.
Doesn't feel like
we just need some reminding, right? Like, we can forget, and that's okay.
I think we need reminding a lot, especially now. And, you know, that's something that I teach in Brain Game is I love and accept myself anyway. I'm feeling this feeling. I am experiencing this trigger, and I deeply love and accept myself anyway. And I think that's so important to remind ourselves of that all the time.
And that's a really good point about emotions, because when we can acknowledge them and name them and just spend a minute with them, it allows them to move through. So I've done a lot of that work where I've had to sit and acknowledge it. But what I found was, instead of it, you know, they rise up, right? But they get stuck because we're trying to just constantly push them down. Then they find another opportunity to come up. Then we're pushing it back down. And so we end up in this emotional loop because we're just not letting it move through. You know, energy in motion is the emotion. And when I never fully understood how simple it was to let them come through. I thought it had to be this big dramatic processing, and this, you know, like put myself in a padded room so that I could let it all go. But when we can just sit and acknowledge it and say, hey, I'm feeling really upset, or I'm feeling really unsafe, and that's okay. I love and accept myself anyway. And it moves through, and this calm can come over you because it's actually gone, and it's left space for some more love to come in.
I love that so much. So speaking of these rituals and practices that we have, what kind of rituals or habits do you have in place to stay devoted to unity in your life and in your business?
So I am a little bit of a rebel.
Not you.
Yes,
now.
I think we all are. We all have that little rebellious streak.
And on radio.
I know, right? But my rebellion is against strict rituals, because I found for myself in the past, when I've really done it and I've really committed, for me, it became a comparison and a measurement, and I was failing if I didn't do it. And it was the only way I can be successful is if I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm doing my morning ritual. And, you know, that was huge. So breaking away from that and saying, hey, I can be successful anyway. And I can follow the nudge of when I want to sit down and have a look at my cards for the day. And I can choose to drink a coffee instead of my cacao, and just allowing, and that is the flow, right? That's when I realized flow is more important to me than the ritual. So I absolutely have tools. I lean on tools a lot, but it's very intuitive, and it's very much as I energetically feel like, and I think it takes time to get there, right? Like it's beneficial to have a practice and a ritual for a while. And then a time comes when it is so embodied in our everyday. And, we, especially with some of the mindset shifts that we might be practicing, and it might be affirmations or something like that, when you begin to carry that into your everyday, then you can bookmark it with that practice if you like, but not doing it doesn't mean that you'll stop embodying it in your day as well, because it has, those synapses, and that energetic part of you is so established that you won't get knocked off your center if you don't do the thing. So I really invite people some freedom of, okay, maybe you've had a commitment. It's okay if you choose not to do that today. Can you give yourself that permission? To me, that is the freedom and flow.
It doesn't have to be non-negotiable anymore.
No, that's definitely the old way of doing things for me. And it's not going to serve me going forward. Yeah.
So speaking of non-negotiables, the way we used to do business is falling apart. You spoke of it a little bit earlier. You touched on it with marketing and how we're promoting ourselves as business owners. And you and I are both passionate about entrepreneurs and healers and spiritual teachers. So how do you see us letting go of these old patterns and inviting in a completely new way of creating impact?
Actually, tuning into the essence of you, how you want to experience and share your impact with the world, and asking what's next. Because truly,
brain game.
And a bit of mind shift.
A little bit there.
Yeah. It's funny that. But it really is. I think there's been so many structures in our world that there has been only one way of doing things, and that there's a magic bullet and, the golden path to creating the success or the impact that you really want. And then I think we have this invisible guidance. We've come here for a reason. We've come here for a path. And because we put ourselves in this structure of how things should be done, how we should show up, how often we should show up. And the only way to do it is with consistency, which is, it has a huge part, but then there's guilt if we're not being consistent. And then we've got this invisible world who are like, oh God, if you just ask me, I can help you, and your higher self is sitting there going, hang on a minute, like we could actually do it way easier. There's actually more efficiency.
I can just see the higher self up there going, pay attention to me.
Just going, psst, psst. So sometimes when we're not listening to the psst, then we get sick.
Yep.
And we're out of alignment.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I've realized recently with all of the shifts. Like my whole life has changed, and I haven't got sick.
Yeah. Because
I've listened every single day to what I had to do in that moment. And I've just flown with that flow. And that's all it takes. I think we overcomplicate life and business. We overcomplicate impact.
What are you talking about? Mountains, Libby?
Yes. Yeah. Do you recognize that?
Mountain.
There's no mountain.
Yeah.
There is no mountain. And if there is a mountain, it doesn't mean it's a challenge.
Right. Some mountains are fun to climb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I learned that on my trip around Australia. We had so much fun.
Right.
So much fun.
Love it.
So Yeah, really, almost moment by moment, like what is in alignment right now? And I
Mhm.
think coming into alignment consistently is all it takes, and trusting and listening and
Yeah.
doing it.
And
Yeah,
doing it, yes.
and
Yes. It's
doing
one
it.
thing to listen, it's another one to actually do the thing.
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's where the integrity comes in, right? Like that's where we are fully embodying who we are, what we're here to do, how we're here to show up, and just embodying and staying in that integrity to the best ability of where you're at. Because I sit here now and I look back to when I thought I was 100% in integrity, and I was for everything that I was still carrying and the layers that I hadn't peeled off yet, and that was my integrity.
Mhm.
And I honor that, even though that has completely shifted now, and it's going to keep shifting. I know that in 2 years' time, I'll be back on Rebel Radio and life will look completely different, and that's okay because I plan just to follow the nudges. And who knows where that will take me? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
love it. Oh my
But
gosh.
I know that every day I will just be following the flow.
Yeah. Just follow the flow.
Mm.
I love it.
Mm.
So you and I have had a few conversations about wealth in the past, and you and I have
Yes.
had a journey of wealth together, which I've loved every
Yes.
moment of.
Yeah.
What does wealth mean to Libby Lee?
Oh, wealth means to me experiencing life without excuses, without boundaries, without limits, without, comparison. And when we, yes, an arm of that is having some money in the bank so that you can have the experiences you really want to experience.
Yeah.
And then choosing to have some experiences anyway because it's all a feeling state, right? There's so many feeling states that we can create an experience for ourselves, even when the money isn't in the bank.
Yeah.
Because it's not all about, like, nobody's posting their bank balance on Facebook, right? It's not actually about that. They are posting their lifestyle, they're posting their experiences.
Yeah.
And that is the wealth for me. And I see people out there, just doing what they love.
Yeah.
And you can tell when it's fully in integrity
Mhm.
and authentic, and you can tell when it's a bit forced and it's a bit out of alignment, and you can feel that in the video or the photo that they share. But the ones that feel so aligned and integrity, you just want to celebrate it with them, right?
Yeah.
Because that's possible for all of us.
Yeah.
So experiencing life in its fullest without the excuses and the boundaries and the limits, that's wealth to me.
Love that definition. So good. So good. We agree on that.
I would love to go back and listen to how I answered that last time and see what's
Right?
shifted. Like, that
Yeah.
would be so cool. Yeah, I'll have to do that.
I
Yeah.
love it. So, what's one thing? Here's the one thing question that every guest loves. What's one thing you wish every entrepreneur knew?
To trust themselves over everything else.
Mm-hmm.
To truly, yes, there is systems that work. Yes, there is ways to build and create success, because that's what they're aiming to do, right? Every entrepreneur wants to create an impact.
Yeah.
But all of that is outside of you. All of that is putting your faith and trust in something else. It's so much easier to trust something else, and I have done it word for word. I have gone to a coach and said, just tell me what to do and I will do it.
Right.
And that's when I was waking up at 4 a.m. and I was doing my morning ritual and I was drinking my cacao, and I never missed a meditation, and I got burnt out.
Yeah.
My adrenals absolutely packed it in.
Yeah.
And all of that was external to me, and I was measuring and comparing all of that. So if every entrepreneur can just take it's a toolbox, right? Take whatever is outside you that might help, and then come back here.
Yeah.
Come back and just say, what do I need to do next? Hey, higher self, psst, what do I need to do next? Because that is your truth, and that the universe is always the most efficient.
Yeah.
So asking there first is going to accelerate, and it's the path of least resistance, you know. Just come back and trust yourself and listen.
Yeah. Beautiful. Ugh, Libby Lee, I could talk to you all day. We know that.
Yeah, we try, yeah.
As much as we can, right? I want to thank you for being on the show. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you. But as always, we end the show with one last question.
Yes.
What do you dream of for the world?
I dream of a world where everybody is embodying and listening to their truth and living in that.
Yeah.
Come back to the heart, come back to the love, come back to that inner guidance. We all have that radar system. And imagine if we all freaking listened to it. What would the world look like?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, because every human is a good human. Every human has that baseline frequency of love. And then we do get a little bit mixed up and muddled up with a lot of other dynamics. And if we just come back to that truth, the world would be a very different place. But it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Libby.
Thank you, Cindy.